it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Got a good one here. Bagheera is in his 705 Alpha Tier 10 Russian heavy tank. Slightly rear turreted, not quite as bad as a mouse. I really like this tank, and this entire line actually is pretty darn good from the ISM up. But he's in the Tier 10, top tier in a 357 on Paris, headed down to the south, spawned into the west, and this is a good spot for the heavy. You'll notice that he's got a lot of guys kind of lagging behind him. His object, 268 version 4, went out to the field for some inexplicable reason, and we'll see Bagheera here. This is a pretty epic game. So the replay of the week, let's see how Bagheera operates with his 705A right off the bat into the side of the 103, which has very poor side armor. Puts a shot right into him, and we're off to the races. This is a pretty good spot. You can see he can get up into that top left corner as far as left for what he's looking at. If people try to poke over and take shots, he can cover up. He can get shots at this 103, and the 103 has very poor shots at him. The 103 is going to have a really tough time trying to trade with a 705 Alpha right here. Bag is a little bit higher than him, and he has that big turret to shoot into the top of, and the 703 is just going to get absolutely abused. The 95 is problematic. There's a shot right into the turret. Breaks his gun, but Bagheera is going to go ahead. Bagheera is going to go ahead and fix that. That's absolutely the right answer right there. The gun is decently accurate, but the last thing you want to do is miss shots because you don't want to use a kit. And because it's so early and he's covered up and not being pushed, leaves that guy on 2 hit points. He's going to have a lot of time for it to regenerate, so the cooldown is going on. He's already at 68 seconds. The 103 goes down with the help of the 257, and now Bagheera is going to move up. This is a good spot right here for this tank as well. A bit problematic because he's look up. The 757 gives him a nice shot right there. Bit problematic because Bag is looking up and they're looking down, and that's going to decrease the angle of that front armor just a little bit. But side scraping is really where this tank shines, and the 705 before it does the same thing. Because it's rear turreted, you don't have to expose too much of your tank. It's unfortunate you didn't get a shot on that. That T-44-100 is going to be an absolute thorn in Bag's side. He's looking for a shot here. I may have myself tried to get lucky and go through that turret right there. Not really losing much because there's nothing else for you to shoot at the moment. Finally, his team comes up. The lower plate on this T-95 is a bit of a weak spot, but it's very thin, and at this angle it's more or less covered up. It's difficult for a Bag to get a shot on it, so he's really left with shooting into the turrets. He can try to go into the tracks up underneath him. Right about, it's hard to see what he's doing right there, but possibility of going through. He'll actually have a shot a little while later at a different angle that goes up under the tracks right there. T-44 takes some hits, and once again, it would have been nice for him to be dead if he'd had that one shot on that T-44-100 earlier. A couple things that happened later on would not have happened. The T-95 is sort of just sitting there rocking back and forth. Maybe a shot on the 44-100, but he's not reloaded quite yet. That looks like a good shot, but I think it goes into the ground. And we are already up at 2,500, and there's an overmatch starting to be created by the enemy team. The WZ-111 GFT shows up. It's got a pretty good gun, and Bag starts going after him. The reason he's doing this is because that thing has much worse armor than the T-95. And the T-95 is very problematic. He's lucky the T-95 is not really interested in pushing, and there's a long time here, starting about right here, where the enemy team just really makes a terrible mistake. Why the 95 didn't just push in and start shooting with the rest of them pushing in, I'll have no idea. There's a 268 V4 up there as well that's really doing not a whole bunch of anything. So they just want to play peekaboo, and this is just one of those problems with teams and players who feel like they're just going to hide behind things until they win, basically, not looking at the situation. There's just nobody down here. There's the object, there's Bag and a 705, but they come, look at that. They're just stacked up everywhere up here, and had they just come at him, this game would have ended in the south much faster. Bag's team is pushing in the north, and it looks like things are going pretty well, actually. But watch them as they start to drop like flies, and there goes the 68 V4. That was a big loss. He's looking for this shot right here, and makes a pretty good decision pretty quickly. Things seem to have stalemated. He's kind of watching this, and then he just hits the number 3 and gets the HE going. Unfortunately, the E50 shows up right about then. Takes a shot, he backs up, makes a miss, and he's just going to go ahead and zoom in as much as possible. Boom, there goes that guy with an HE shot. That's a great example right there for everyone who's watching of ammo management and the situation that allowed him to do that. 57's looking for a shot. He's down to about a one shot as well. Definitely a one shot to Bagheera's 705. Potentially a one shot to the rest of the guys here. There's the V4 coming up. I don't know, I might have tried that shot. There you go. And again, looking at what's down here, no idea why their 68 Ford didn't just lead the charge. Followed up with the T95 trundling in, and then the more agile 57. I think they would have eaten these guys, and the TE50 for that matter. They'd have eaten Bagheera's team for lunch. The north push gets defeated. There's the 2 Emils, a Scorpion. There's an unaccounted for WZ back there as well. And that guy will show up a little while later. Tries to take a shot into the 95. Again, just holding on by fingernails right here. We're up to 3,951. Usually when you farm this much damage, and especially in a loss, it has a lot to do with a very timid enemy team who does not push advantages and allows you to sit there and reload and continue to fire and fire and fire, even though your team starts to slowly lose. If they'd have just pushed in. I know I'm going on and on about it, but it's a great example. Just take a look at where the tanks are on that map and imagine yourself as the red team in the T95 or in the 268 V4, and just think about this situation and what you might do in it. There's that lower plate. Finally gets a shot into it. And this is all with regular AP. Heat is problematic there with the curvature, but he's going to get a lot more pin out of it. You can't shoot into the tracks with heat, so that's problematic there. There's a lot of things to think about in a situation like this. The T95 is just sort of staring. I think he shot at the... must have shot at one of his friends. And that's that shot that gets up under the tracks right there and goes into the side of the T95, and he ends that guy. Now Bagheera is looking at this going, this is not good. I'm getting surrounded. I got a 68 version 4. There's a bunch of guys in the north. Right now they're a little bit busy with his. So now he makes the aggressive decision to move in, and he's going to come in and clean up this flank. 57's not paying attention. Gets up and over, bad depression, finally gets him the 44-100, gets a shot on him. I may have on that one, Bag, continued around the corner of that building and got to there and behind there, as opposed to just kind of go out in the open and spin around. I think it cost you a couple hits here. Thinking a couple steps ahead, you knew you were going to come and get the T-57. I'd have just continued trundling straight forward. May have even accepted one shot from the E-50 in the back and then spun around, but as it is, you get hit by both of them a little bit there. And now he's backing up, covering up on the 44-100. I mentioned that earlier. The 44-100 is a bit of a thorn in his side. He's taken 500 hit points or so from him right there. There's the 50. Naturally, we crit no damage. Ouch, not good. Marbreaker puts a shot into him. Waiting for the reload, and he gets away just. That silly 44-100 once again. That time only a track. Looks like he's moving off, so Bagheera takes that opportunity to push the E50. The 44-100 had sat there supporting the E50. It would have been a much more difficult decision for Bag to make right there, but as it is, you saw him start to move off, so that is something a good player will pay attention to. The tactical situation where you are. Watch what the red dots are doing. Even if you don't see it, you can see it on the mini-map as he starts to move off, and that just gives that little bit of opening that he needed to push the E50 and take him down. And now he's a little bit out in the open here. He's got some good opportunity to start killing guys. Takes him down. Initially I thought he might go down the middle, but oh, there we go. But not going to do that because we're not reloaded. Don't want to face up on the 268 V4. And he's got a Cairn coming around behind him, so he's going to switch what he's doing. Unfortunately, he takes 189 from an HE spamming. There's that one that was unaccounted for, and it's still not been spotted. It's been sitting in a bush in the back the whole time. So he's got to push this Carnarvon and get rid of this guy. So he's not surrounded, or at least immediately surrounded. He will be soon. And he knows he's just going to wait for a good shot on this guy. What he doesn't want to do is bounce or miss and let that guy charge him, get around behind him, and start putting shots into his side, because the reload on that thing is so fast. And the 268 comes raging in. I'm going to get a ram kill. And nope. Despite how heavy the 268 V4 is, the 705 Alpha was a little heavier. And he's able to both bounce the AP shot and survive the ram with 107 hit points. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of them. There's that bloody 44-100. Once again, just a thorn in his side. They know exactly where he is. He doesn't have a lot of options. And he's going to look to work up this way. And unfortunately, here comes Mr. WZ-111 and stops and fires, no aim, with HE. Takes him down. And I don't even think he's using that big gun on that thing. I think he's got the one of the smaller guns. But it was enough with HE. He only needed 107 damage. Takes him down. But we've got 7 kills, 7,851 damage, 5,410 pounds, and 1,023 assists for the game of the week. Nice game, Bag. I thought you did a lot of great things in there. Only a couple quibbles as I went along. Unsure if you could have pulled it out if you'd have done any of those things I said. HE is a tough thing. You're just going to take the damage, right? Unless you get lucky and bounce it off your gun or some silly thing. But hey, man, 7,851. Nothing to scoff at. Nice job. Game of the week. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you.